Hey folks, so in this video we're looking at sizing the tenon, the tapered tenon of a leg.
A dry leg.
And so this is dry, it's shrunken, it's gone a little bit oval. This has been made plenty oversized,
Yep.
so at least 10%.
Yeah.
We've got our mortise block.
Yep.
Did I sharpen a pencil?
Mm-hmm.
Shall I colour that in for you?
Yes, please.
And then
Just on the edge.
just on the edge,
Yep.
okay, look. Just in there. In there?
And along that edge there.
Nice. On the top?
Yeah.
And on this one?
Can do.
Okay. So you'll see the genius of this in a moment,
Yeah.
but the first thing we need to do is check that we're taking the tenon to the right place.
Yes, we do.
So talk us through that.
So remember, we've got our story stick, so we can reproduce our measurements. We always use the score line as our reference point. Carefully lining up the score line with the score line mark on the story stick, we can see that our tenon needs to begin here and end here. So I've transferred those marks onto the tool rest. So that is where my tenon should begin. One more thing I've done is I've put a mark at the very end of the leg, so if this moves, I can just pop that back there and we'll be in the right position.
Perfect. So we've got the score line on the legs, and then so the other components that have got tapered tenons are the posts for the arm, so well, the crest post and the arm post, and we actually measure from the bead on those.
Yeah.
So you have a story stick for the different components, and the leg one, the all-important score line, is really helpful for lots of different bits.
Oh yeah.
And that's where the stretcher goes in.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Cool. Let's size that tenon.
Right, so I know that it's all oversized at the moment, so I'm going to put my mortise block on, and you can see I have a little way to go yet. So I need to fit perfectly at that end and also perfectly at the other end. So I'll just start to taper that away a little bit.
So presumably you can get it to fit at the very end, and that gives you some leeway, and then you can work it back towards that mark.
Yes, get a bit of a taper going first before you do that. Just so
Because you've got to get it round anyway, haven't you?
Yeah, and it'll rock as well if it's got too much gap.
Yeah.
Now we're on a slightly smaller diameter piece, so if you ever hear it hitting the floor, wrap it round the treadle one more time and it should stop. Here we go.
That's better.
As you can see, I've started to establish this taper now, and my block is starting to look like it'll fit on the end, so I'm going to hold it on the end. Normally I would pin it to hold it tight against the tool rest so it doesn't wobble, but so you can see what I'm doing, hold it there, and I'm going to treadle. And the treadle is going to show me where the high parts are that I need to remove. So I'm just going to take away the dark part there and the dark part there. I'm going to pop it back on again. So I can slowly start sliding it along. This is my reference point on the tool rest. When I slide it and I'm level with there, I know to stop. So I'll put it on, treadle, my high points come up, and knock those back down again with the chisel.
And that's the great thing about a tapered tenon, right, is that you need to remove a lot more off the thin end. So if that was a perfectly cylindrical tenon, when you're getting close to it, you've got to be ever so careful not to take off a little whisper. But because we want to slide that along to that point here, then there's actually quite a lot more material to remove. So it shows you where to remove the material, but you're not having to be that careful. It's just keeping you straight.
Yes.
But you still need to take a shaving all the way down to the end each time.
Yeah. See, we're really starting to get there now. Cut away that dark mark, stop. Cut away the pencil again. You can see how it's going. Starting to get quite a tight fit. Obviously this part here isn't making contact, or that would have a mucky mark on it too. So we take these slightly high points down and we should be on the plane of that clean part there. If you could put a bit more pencil in there for me, please.
No problem.
Always being aware that we don't come back past this mark.
Such a good technique.
Yeah. Now that dark line there, telling me that I can't get up that hill to try it out. So I am just going to take a little bit of material from behind that as well.
The pencil just works really well to highlight it, doesn't it? And
yeah.
I think to a certain extent you can just picture a straight line.
Yeah.
And the first couple of times you do this, you want to be super careful.
Oh yeah.
And you know, with a bit of practice, I've certainly seen you at home doing it perfect just by eye.
Yeah, I
I
use a
it's
slightly
quite a lot of practice.
It is, and I use a slightly different angled taper at home.
And earlier you were saying as a beginner someone might struggle a little to make it perfectly flat, and you could actually, for the fine adjustments, use a bit of sandpaper on a square block.
Yeah, yeah.
Spin the leg and use that to just take that tenon down nice and flat.
Yeah, if you're not confident enough to take a real hair of a pass, you could just hold a piece of sandpaper on there and you'll be away. As you can see, that fits beautifully on there now, moving without any real friction. You give or take the odd tiny bit there. In a lovely straight line there.
Brilliant.
12-degree taper.
Sweet. So I guess, you know, if we wanted to be certain, we could always just tap that into a mortise just to double check.
Yep.
And it's probably sensible to do on their first one.
Oh yeah.
The first time they use the block, just in case they've cut the block wonky or haven't quite used it right. Mm-hmm. So now that's set, is there anything else we want to do whilst it's on the lathe?
I think we should just blend that little hump away a little bit there. Of course, you've got to be very careful not to cut into your tenon now, so let's put a line there. Do not cut up to that line.
So you're just going to blend slightly shy of the line.
Yeah. Don't forget, where we are currently, you have to turn the chair right over and put it on your knee and look for this part. It is right under the chair.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And so many chairs in years gone by would have just been a rounding plane with a shoulder.
Yeah.
But the thing that's quite nice about these taper joints is that you can make it look like it just vanishes straight into the mortise, which is a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Great, okay.
That is a finished chair leg.
Great, yeah, because we've got the end of our leg there as well, so that can just be sawn off later. So that's ready for fitting into the chair.
It is.